Change makers are having their annual seminar tomorrow in Guinan Hotel in Burt, and one of the speakers is a regenerative farmer from County Laois, Brendan Guinan. And there's also going to be the screening of a documentary called The Longest Malin to Mizen. And this is about regenerative farming here in Ireland. And that'll be on in St Mary's Hall in Burt tomorrow evening between 7 and 9. The film itself is an hour long, and then there's going to be a question and answer session with Brendan afterwards. And I'm delighted that Brendan actually joins us on the line. Brendan, good afternoon to you.
How are you, John? How are you getting on?
Good, good. Now, first and foremost, I suppose, explain regenerative farming to us.
Yeah, well, regenerative farming is basically farming 100% without chemicals, using different enterprises to support each other, so you don't have to buy major amount of inputs to grow your crops and your animals. So it's working with nature, using animals rather than buying in inputs. It's really the only solution to food production long term in Ireland.
What's the difference between regenerative farming and organic farming?
Yes, that's a very good question. You can have a monoculture organic farm, so you can have like a dairy, organic dairy farm, or organic beef farm, or an organic tillage farm on its own, and then you just buy in the inputs at a very high price to grow your grass or grow your vegetables or whatever it is. With regenerative farming, it's totally different. You don't buy in the inputs. You can't have a monoculture with a regenerative farm. It has to have different enterprises all complementing each other. So, like on my farm, I have pigs, cattle, laying hens, turkeys, meat chickens, bees. I do tourism, and I also do firewood from thinning the forest. But the forest is a major part of the whole system, in that it feeds the soil with the roots, but it also shelters the animals and the soil above ground as well. So my job as a regenerative farmer is to manage the canopy of the trees, to let enough light down for photosynthesis to actually grow on the forest floor, but at the same time not strip too many trees away that either the plants or the animals will be uncomfortable. You know.
When you say don't buy in things, does that mean that there's a kind of a co-op ethos to this? Are you reliant on other farmers around to supply things to and take things off, or am I getting that wrong?
Yeah, well, yes and no. They really, with regenerative farming, you should be able to produce everything on your own farm. It's the way farming was done 100 years ago.
Okay.
The only difference now and then is we're using modern technology to actually enhance and make it way easier to achieve the same goals that, say, your grandfather would have achieved. And that's where my job at the moment now, I'm doing this 5 years. We're commercial. We've a 30-acre farm, and it's my full-time income. And I've 5 kids, wife's full-time mother. This is unheard of in, say, what people would call conventional farming.
And why do you think it's more commercially viable than regular farming, so to speak?
Yeah, very simple. I direct sell everything. I don't like in conventional farming. You have a commodity. Basically, you produce a commodity, you sell it to a wholesaler, you sell it to a processor, and they take it to the next level. The only way regenerative farming works is connecting with the local people. So we operate an open farm. We invite people in to see what we're doing. When they see what we do, they have the confidence to actually purchase our products.
So you have a farm shop on site?
We do, and we also we sell through our website, fearviafarm.ie. So Fear Via Farm is true food. That's what it translates into. And when we deliver nationwide, basically through a network of our own refrigerated vans, but we also team up with other farmers now, because we don't produce vegetables, but we've worked with other organic and regenerative farmers who produce vegetables, and we're developing out, because we were very small on our own. We need to come together to be able to guarantee supply and guarantee quality. And that's where the Malin to Mizen came from. Last August, we cycled from Donegal to Cork. It's the longest Malin to Mizen because normal Malin to Mizen is 680 kilometers. We did 1,240 kilometers because we zigzagged across the country, calling to 10 different regenerative farms. And to highlight that, number one, regenerative and organic farming is national already. It's not a niche thing. And number two, like, there's so much negative press about agriculture, and some of it is very warranted. But there is a vast amount of people out there producing the highest quality, chemical-free produce for their neighbours and community, and it's not being recognised.
So, how long did it take you to visit all 10 farms down along the Wild Atlantic Way or beyond that?
It took from Saturday to Saturday.
All right.
So 1 week.
Okay.
So we did 150 kilometers some days, 170 other days. We're doing another one this year on the second week of September from Giants Causeway to Waterford, because we're going to go down the East Coast this time and highlight all the farms down the East Coast.
All right. So I thought it might take a lot longer, and you'd struggle then to have somebody back at home filling in for you.
Well, I'll give you an idea. We only ate our own food. We didn't eat any protein bars, any shakes, or any, of the sports drinks and supplements. We only ate our own food from start to finish, and it's just to prove the nutrient density of naturally raised and grown food. It actually has everything you need to literally cycle it into the country.
With a lot of mass-produced food, you find yourself reaching for a spoonful of sugar or
Yes.
the salt cellar. Is it true that with food from regenerative farms that there's much more flavour and you're less likely to look for additives?
It's more. It satisfies you quicker because there's more trace elements in it. The trace elements come from the natural microbiome of the soil. In that, and that's the taste. And the reason you crave that taste is your body is craving them trace elements. That at the moment, over the last 50 years, we have been forced to take artificial supplements because we can't get that same trace elements from our food. So it's a slippery slope that we're on. But that's why now the likes of change makers in Donegal have invited me to come up and talk on Friday the 9th. Like their community-based project, trying to create positivity and change in the world. They align with a lot of what we align with, which is trying to bring money, power, and community back to rural Ireland, basically, and connect with people that they spend their money invested in the country, not in the big multiples. So we're literally traveling from Cork to Donegal with the documentary now. Like, we're doing 2 screenings in Donegal on the weekend. Friday is on Guinan Hotel or St Mary's Hall in Burt.
Yeah.
Saturday is in Bundoran Cinema as
Okay.
well. And we're in Waterford next Friday. We're in Portlaoise on Saturday. We're down in West Cork then, and it's taken on a whole life of its own.
Good. It's spreading the word. And finally, Brendan, what would you say to somebody that's listening in and they own a farm? You have 30 acres, so there's somebody and they're farming regularly and doing their best. What would you say to them to convince them that regenerative farming is the way to go?
Well,
or is that too broad of a question?
No, well, it's really down to the farmer first. If the farmer really, if his heart or her heart is sick of the system that's there already, which it is, like, as in, there's no money with a 30-acre farm. You have to work off farm. Around home, there's farms 200 and 300 acres, and there isn't an income for one family on it, and so the wife has to work, or maybe the farmer has to have an off-farm income as well. So I can prove. I take people to my farm. I show them what I do. I show them the figures. I show them the potential, the abundance of life, the infinite amount of incomes you can produce on 1 acre, not just 30 acres. And I try and connect with people enough that they go, I want to know more. And that's kind of my job at the moment, is to spread the word.
Yeah, well, you have your hands full between trying to spread the word and run your own farm as well, and you're here anyhow this weekend. Tomorrow in Burt in Guinan Hotel in Burt, and one of the speakers there for the Change Makers annual seminar, and then also at the showing off that documentary film. It lasts about an hour long. Then there'll be a question and answer with you afterwards, and that's in St
Yes.
Mary's Hall tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock, and there's another chance to see it in Bundoran on Saturday. Brenda, keep up the good work, and the best luck to you.
Thanks, John. Thanks for the call.